Most people don't need another workout plan. They need a wake-up call. This video might sting just a little bit. Not because I'm trying to be harsh, but because most people don't actually change until someone finally tells them the truth. These brutally honest fitness truths are the wake-up call you need to hear. If you always wait for the right time to start a new habit or program, you've already failed. The right time, or when you're less busy, implies that unless the conditions are perfect, you won't stick to it. So learn how to make it work in the worst condition and it will stick in the best. If you have health and fitness goals, chances are you're making this mistake right now. You're probably telling yourself that you're really busy, or you're tired, or you just don't have the energy, or when the timing is right, or when the holiday season is done. Like, we constantly just tell ourselves these lies that the perfect time does exist. And there's one client in particular that comes to mind for this story, and you know who you are. You're probably watching this right now. I was speaking with this client for about 2 years on and off, and I knew that she just needed to get out of her own way, because every time I spoke with her, every time she commented on a post, every time she sent a DM, she was always just saying to me, "Yep, I'm going to start coaching with you guys. I'm really looking forward to it. I just need to wait until this big work project is done." Or I just need to wait until the kids are at school. And I had to honestly say, like, when do you feel like the right time's going to be? This is something you've thought about for years and you're still here. Like, you've got 2 years of not making progress now. Why not just get started and prove to yourself that if you start now when the conditions are less than ideal, imagine what you can do when the timing does feel right or when life feels easier. She's been with us for about 6 months now, and she has absolutely crushed it. Like, the progress she's made in the last 6 months, it makes me laugh to think that we've been having these conversations for the last 2 years. It took that long for her to realize the perfect timing does not exist. And if I can start now, at least I can start making progress. I can start taking messy action, and I can stop just falling into the same patterns, the same excuses, and the same perfectionism trap that stops me from making progress altogether. If we really want to change, we have to start before we feel ready, because that's how we know the results that we get and the lifestyle that we build is genuinely permanent. It's not something that's going to come and go. It's something that's going to build into your lifestyle and be sustainable. True self-care is not salt baths and chocolate. It's keeping the promises you make to yourself so you can build a life that you don't need to escape from regularly. Self-care should not be something we resort to simply because we are absolutely exhausted. Don't treat yourself, look after yourself properly. This one tends to trigger people because it exposes how we avoid real self-care. That's hustle culture. That's toxic. Rest. Listen to your body. And sure, there's a time and a place for that. Like, I love a salt bath. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also know that, like, getting myself to the gym is the ultimate form of self-care. Sticking to my diet is looking after my body from the inside out. And pushing myself through, doing the small things that are really easy to do, but just as easy not to do, is the ultimate form of self-care. And I think we need to stop lying to ourselves and saying that, like, self-care is just resting all of the time and pulling back. And there's absolutely a time and a place for that. But I just wish more people realize that self-care is also just holding a standard and not lowering the bar just because you feel tired. So make sure that you swap treat yourself with actually taking care of yourself. Bubble baths don't fix burnout. Boundaries do. Thinking about skipping the gym? The bad workouts are the most important ones. Training when you feel good is easy, but showing up when you don't want to, that's where the real growth happens. It's not just about the workout itself. It's about becoming the kind of person who shows up no matter what. I am not always motivated. Like, there are weeks where the last thing I want to do is go to the gym and I'm tired and I just want to, like, throw in the towel. But I always remind myself it's not about the workout. It's actually about protecting the habit of going to the gym. It's about reminding myself that I go to the gym 3 times a week as an absolute minimum. My plan says 4, but like I said, I have a standard and I stick to that. We tell ourselves, oh, I've only got 30 minutes, or I'm tired, or it's not going to be a good session, or I've got my period. Like, we talk ourselves out of going to the gym because we think the workout's not going to be good. But you have to remind yourself it's actually not about the workout. It's about protecting the identity that you are someone who follows through on the promises that you make to yourself, whether you feel like it or not. Something is always better than nothing. Short on time? Scale it down. Low on energy? Do the easy version. Feeling overwhelmed? Take one tiny step. Let your habits adjust to meet the demands of the day. So many people struggle with all or nothing thinking. It's like the one thing we specialize inside coaching. You don't want to throw everything away and say, well, if I can't do it perfectly, I do nothing, because that's you slipping back into old habits. And it's the very opposite of what you actually need to do to make progress. It's really what consistency is. And everyone just says, like, just be consistent. But what does that actually mean? Like, consistency is showing up on the bad days and it's adjusting your routines rather than throwing everything away. Maybe you've been consistent in the gym for years already, but all of a sudden you're finding it really hard to show up. Those things are incredibly normal, and you're never too advanced to work on some of these patterns that come back in when life gets full. Because every time you slip back into that old habit and you don't work on it, you teach yourself that doing nothing is the answer. And you actually reinforce that this all or nothing thinking, or quitting when it gets hard, or not moving forward in any way, you teach yourself that that's the new standard. And you actually make it harder in the long term to be consistent. One analogy I love for this is thinking of your routine like a dial rather than a switch. Most people, when it comes to their health and fitness, they're like an on-off switch. It's like they're on their plan or they're off their plan. They're doing their workout, so they're not at all. They're on their diet or they're doing nothing. And that is literally all or nothing thinking. But swap it from like all or nothing to all to something and think of it like a dial. Rather than being like 100% or off, you just want to sort of remix and be like, well, what sort of level of light do I need right now? What's my life looking like? Do I need to just turn it down a little bit? But the trick is to turn it down and not off. You don't want to be a light switch, you want to be a dial. We are so sedentary that a 15-minute walk is considered adequate exercise. If you're fit and able, we must raise the bar for ourselves and the next generation. Movement is medicine. Get the right dose. When I posted this a while ago, man, did it trigger some people. And I totally understand why, because hey, if you're just getting back into the gym, like 15 minutes walking on the treadmill is probably a big stretch for you. And that is amazing. But that's not who I'm speaking to right now. Like, if you're fit and able and you've got the capacity to do more, we have to be constantly raising the bar for ourselves. Now, we all know that movement is medicine, especially when it comes to like lower back pain, shoulder pain, fatigue, or even just feeling tired. Like, a lot of people don't realize, but the way to get more energy is to burn more energy. I would rather be uncomfortable in the gym lifting until I'm old than be the youngest person seated in a nursing home. Every rep now is a step away from assisted living. That's all the motivation I need. I was 21 when I became a grad nurse, and honestly, from a lot of the experiences that I had, I grew up really quickly. One of the most common patients that I would see on the orthopedic ward was the old lady from the nursing home. And the old lady from the nursing home would usually have a fall. She would usually fracture her femur, and then she would literally be bedridden for like 6 to 12 months. Being fragile is not something I ever want to have to experience. And what can I do for my body now in my 20s and 30s to set myself up really well? I don't want brittle bones. I don't want to fall and have a fracture. And I don't want to put that stress and strain on my family or the people around me as I do get older. And often when we think of like the elderly, we think of people in their like 70s and 80s, but that's not the case either. Like, osteoporosis can come up in your 50s. And I think it's something that we need to be thinking about now, and hell, using that as a form of motivation. For a while, I thought it was the nursing homes. I was like, I'm never going in a nursing home. I actually realized it's got nothing to do with the nursing home, and it's got everything to do with the lifestyle that we live and setting ourselves up well for aging well, and to make sure that, yes, we're going to age, we're all going to get older, and we're all going to get more frail as we age, of course, but there is so much that we can be doing, especially in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. We need to be setting ourselves up really well for that period of our life where we don't have a lot in our control. Women who stay in good shape all year round don't spend much time dieting. They use food as fuel. They don't have a goal weight. They lift weights 4 to 5 days a week. They focus on strength and performance. They don't burn calories, and they eat plenty of high-quality carbs. Success leaves clues. Especially in the female space, everyone just thinks that they must be really dialed in on their diet. They eat low carbs and they're always training hard, but it's actually not about that at all. It's the compounding success that looking after your health, longevity, and performance has over many years. And the people you probably look up to that you idolize with these really strong physiques or even confidence just in their body and in their life, they don't shrink themselves to be small to fit into a mold. They fuel their body for performance and they look after their health because they know that a strong looking body follows a strong one. Trust me when I say this, you will realize that the quick fix stuff does not work. And eventually you'll get tired of it. You'll get sick of it and you'll be like, I want to do this properly. And that's when a lot of women come to us. I feel like we're the last resort and I just wish we were like the first one because you don't have to go through all the pain and suffering. How many 8-week challenges do you need to do before you realize that it doesn't work? And anything that looks too good to be true absolutely is, because no amount of effort will outweigh a poor strategy or simply following outdated fitness advice. None of that works. A lot more people would be advanced if they actually did the fundamentals or the beginner things that they think they're too good for. Success isn't about constantly seeking new tricks. It's about mastering the basics consistently and being patient. A lot of people want all the drop sets, all the supersets, the 5-day training program. They want to add in some running on the weekend. And then when I ask them, hey, what does your current exercise routine look like? I realize that they haven't been consistent for years. And they're not even going to the gym 3 days a week. I think it's because our brain wants high levels of dopamine and we're like, I want this goal, I work towards this, I want to chase this big thing. And I'm like, no. We need to lower the bar and come back to earth here because you can't build on top of a foundation that isn't there. And the truth is that most people know what they should be doing, but they're not doing it. And the reason for this is because knowing and doing are two separate things. Not only are they two separate parts of the brain, but everyone needs some form of external accountability, support, and a plan in place. It can be hard to comprehend that maybe you're missing some of those basics, but the basics are what the most advanced people in the world obsess over, and you're no different. Bragging about how you forgot to eat yesterday, haven't taken a rest day in weeks, go to the gym twice a day, only eat clean food, hit a really high step count, and never leave home without food scales is not a flex. It's a coping mechanism. Now, I say this with love because some people are confusing discipline with disorder, and it's very common in the fitness industry. But a lot of these things are red flags. And I know this because I've had these red flags in myself. I remember when I used to take my Tupperware with me or my food scale, and we need to stop conditioning society, especially women, that this is what leads to success, because it's not. It's what leads to burnout. There's a whole generation of women who were told to avoid lifting weights, skip breakfast, take hormonal contraception for everything, and do whatever it takes to be skinny. Now they're dealing with osteoporosis, poor body image, Alzheimer's disease, perimenopausal hell, undiagnosed autoimmune diseases, and obesity. It's time to do better. Unfortunately, women are paying the price for decades of terrible, outdated health messaging. Eat less, move more, be smaller, avoid carbs, be thinner at all cost. You name it, it's in the marketing there. And it's no surprise that unfortunately we're starting to see some of these consequences come to life. Whether it's the osteoporosis that 1 in 3 women over the age of 50 will develop, poor body image that I swear nearly every female that I speak to has, or just everything else that's coming up. 85% of women are affected by autoimmune diseases. Coincidence? I just don't think so. And I do think that a lot of these things are due to lifestyle, whether it's the food we put in our mouth or that we don't, the exercise that we do or the exercise that we don't, or even our sleep, our stress, our mindset. Everything that we're exposed to really does determine our state of health. But the good news is it's never too late to rebuild yourself, your body or your future. And I always say this to women, especially those in their 50s or beyond, it's never too late to start improving your health and your longevity and undoing some of this stuff that maybe you did in the past. You're not broken. It's just time to have a different strategy. 95% of women probably shouldn't compete in bodybuilding or aim to get incredibly lean. Being hyper-focused on pushing your body to unnatural limits will often make body image issues worse. Getting incredibly lean isn't healthy, and we shouldn't set it as the standard of fitness either. And I know it can be quite contradictory coming from someone who has competed for many years in the past, but I also saw how for a lot of women around me, it was really damaging. If you have any confidence or body image issues, or dare I say, concerns with eating disorders or anything like that in the past, it is something that I would tread very, very carefully with, because it's a magnifying glass. It makes everything worse, and it really exposes a lot of pre-existing conditions or concerns. Why are the small things so hard? It's easy to save $1, but it's just as easy not to. It's easy to go for a 10-minute walk, but it's just as easy not to. It's easy to put your phone down at 8 p.m., but it's just as easy not to. Consistency is about keeping the small promises you make to yourself and allowing them to compound. The small things aren't hard. You just think that they don't matter. And that's the real problem. No success, no goal, no outcome comes from doing one thing. It comes from doing like 100,000 really small things consistently. Some of them are conscious and many of them are unconscious. And that's also what makes them really tricky. This is a tough pill to swallow. But sometimes the real reason why you're not progressing is due to your inability to focus. I call it shiny object syndrome. You're not lazy, you're just distracted. Distraction feels productive until you realize nothing's actually done. And guys, this is a personal attack on myself. Like, I think we're all a little bit, distracted in this day and age. Careful with my word. And look, you probably won't like to admit this to yourself, but the results you're getting or not getting are completely your fault alone. People are really focused on the wrong things, and the right advice to the wrong person or at the wrong time's the wrong advice. In this day and age with AI and all the information that's out there, it's really easy then to stay fit and healthy. And it's like, no, it's not. It's harder than ever. You do not have an information problem. You have an implementation problem. Is this shiny object syndrome, or is this genuinely something you want to do? And it can show up in really small things like wanting to cut calories again, or it could be constantly changing your goal. I mean, like one week you might want fat loss, the next week you might want to build your glutes, and then the next week you want to run a half marathon, which obviously means you're making no progress towards any of them. And really commonly, it can be adding to the plan. It can be like having your foundation and what you need to do, and then be like, I might add a Pilates class, or I might try this, or I might add this on. And the addition piece, that is also shiny object syndrome. There will always be a temptation to chase something new or something shiny or anything that just feels exciting. But focus is so important when it comes to working towards goals. You can do it all, you just can't do it all at once. And if you want to get anywhere, you have to stay focused and stay consistent to the plan in front of you and not get distracted by anything that looks shiny. If one of these hit a nerve, good. Change doesn't happen when things feel comfortable. It happens when the truth finally lands. And you don't need to overhaul your life. You just need to start doing the simple things consistently. Stop waiting for the perfect conditions and get out of your own way. That's exactly what we do inside the Women's Health Movement. You can find all the details in the links below in the description, but more importantly, if you're ready for that next level honesty and accountability, just remember that you need to keep going. Your future self is already thanking you for it.